What's up, guys, and welcome back to Community TV, tips and tricks living your best life. Before I start this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up video. Please, guys, like the video. It is free, it is good for you, it's good for your heart and soul. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you never ever miss a video from me. And also, guys, I want to do an assumptions video because I realized I don't really have any videos about me being very personable to you guys, and a lot of you guys asking questions. Don't forget to leave your assumptions down below. If you guys don't know how to do it, all you have to do is say, I assume that you like pink ponies, and then I will be like, okay, yeah, I like pink ponies. So if I get enough assumptions, I will make the video. If I don't, then I won't. And don't forget to leave your comments down below. If you guys have any questions on anything that I'm about to discuss here, leave it down in the comments down below, and I will be sure to get back to you. I respond to every single one of my comments. So yeah. So guys, so this video is basically about me taking the ATI TEAS. As you guys can see, I got into my LPSRN program. Woo woo! If you guys saw my major life update video, I talked about that. If you guys missed it, I'm gonna leave it down in the comments down below, a link to it. So I basically have to take the ATI TEAS, and during that time I was going through a lot because I was moving from from Texas to New York, and I decided to take this test to get into the program that I want to get into in New York. But nevertheless I did study. Now, I'm not claiming to be the ATI TEAS queen, okay? I will claim myself to be the NCLEX LPN queen, and if you guys didn't see the video, I will leave it down below on how to pass that. But I don't claim to be an ATI TEAS queen compared to like probably most people, especially here on YouTube. I mean, I don't know like the national average, but compared to most people on YouTube, I'm probably like not the queen of it. But I know a lot of you guys like my advice, and a lot of you guys like the way I explain things and basically my opinion. So if you guys want to know my opinion on how to study and everything, like, keep on watching. If you hate math like I do, keep on watching. I've learned to love math. ATI TEAS basically stands for the test of essential academic skills, and it's basically a test that nurses go for. I don't know if LPNs have to take that test. I don't think I had to take the TEAS for my LPN exam. I had to take an entrance exam. I don't remember which entrance exam, but basically a lot of RN programs, I know you have to take the test so for them to see where you are at and basically to see if you could get in or not. So basically overall, is this test hard? You know, to be quite honest with you, I think it is not hard, but it's simple. You know what I mean? It's simple in a way where like you study to pass. You know what I mean? It's not like, it doesn't require, I'm not gonna say it doesn't require a lot of thinking, that's wrong, but it doesn't require a lot of like critical thinking like the NCLEX, but it requires you to know information. You know what I mean? So, but it does require studying, and I do recommend that you guys do take this test seriously. I did. When I found out I had to take the ATI TEAS, I was just like you. That's probably how you found this video right now that you're watching. I was researching everybody who took the ATI TEAS. I probably watched every ATI TEAS videos out there. I just went on YouTube and clicked ATI TEAS, and I researched everybody talking about the ATI TEAS. And most people, I realized, had to get like an 85 or 90, and that's crazy. Like, to me, that's like, oh my god. And I didn't really know what percentage I had to get to pass, but I knew it wasn't that high because when I went to the orientation, I remember they said like 78 or something like that. But basically, I know like a lot of you guys may be feeling a lot of anxiety. Maybe you have to perform like an 85 or 90 or in the highest percentile, but don't fret. I'm gonna tell you guys my recommendation on how to study. Now, I didn't study like to my ultimate capacity, like I said, because I was moving and because I knew that it wasn't that high. I felt like I knew it was supposed to be a 78. I don't know why, because I remember the people telling us when we went to the open house that you have to have a 78. I don't know why I had that in my head. But it was last year that I applied to the program that I am in now. But so basically so I knew I had to get in. I knew I had some kind of grade point average, so I researched everybody. And you know what, if you have to make like an 85 90, I would definitely recommend like taking some time out to really study. And I know it's hard because like a lot of you guys probably have children or you have other responsibilities to take care of. I mean, everybody has extra responsibilities, everybody's working and stuff, but you know what, I believe if you time yourself and space out the time for you guys to study, like let's say you take 2 weeks to study math, 2 weeks to study English, 2 weeks to study reading, 2 weeks to study science. I'm just giving an assumption, I'm just giving an example. I think that you guys can make it, and then have some weeks to practice questions, which are very important. I think that's the number one tip I would give. Basically, block out time for you guys to study. So I'm gonna tell you guys my experience and how I went about doing it. So basically, I'm gonna start with my results, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to start with my results, so you guys don't think that I'm the ATI TEAS queen. But from taking the test, I do realize like certain stuff that you guys have to do in order to pass. So you guys, right now I got a 76. Don't mind the LPN grades here. That was when I was taking the LPN NCLEX back in 2013. Woo, that was a long time ago. But anyways, so overall for the ATI TEAS, I got a 76. Yes. So I know you guys aren't thinking like, what, you only got a 76? That's like, but you know, I'm being honest, I got a 76. On the reading portion, I got an 80.9. On the math portion, I got a, on the reading, so on the math portion, I got an 87.5%. And on the science portion, I got a 66.0%, which I was surprised of. And the English and language arts usage, I got a 70.8. Now, I was so surprised that math was my highest score, since I really don't favor math. But honestly, I'm gonna tell y'all my secret to passing math, okay? So basically, guys, when I started studying, I used 2 books. Now, I've looked for this book for the life of me, and for some reason, I'm sorry, I can't seem to find it. But it's the ATI TEAS book to study. Is by ATI. Now, if y'all think that that book is gonna help y'all pass, I'm sadly mistaken. That is not to help you pass. I would say that book is kind of like an outline. I would still get the book just because they have practice tests in there that are very similar to the ATI. So I got that book and I looked over the reading, and after I looked over the reading, I did the question. I probably got like a 90 or something. So I was like, okay, I don't have to study for that. The math, I didn't even look at it, I didn't even read it, I just skipped over it because I was like, I just don't learn math like that all the time, and I skipped over that. I didn't even try it. Science, I read it, but the science, like, to be quite honest with you, the science doesn't really delve into deep. So long story short, I got this book after researching. Is the ATI TEAS Secrets by Mometrics. So basically, I skipped the reading. I didn't go through the reading because I knew I was good at reading. So that's my number one tip, guys, is to know kind of where you stand. Like, if you know you're good at reading, like, why are you gonna spend time reading? If you know you're good at math, why are you gonna spend, like, I'm not saying don't study for those things at all, but like, you're gonna want to put your attention to the subjects where you feel like you're the most weakest at. So I'm good at reading, you know. I read in my leisure time, you know, I read for fun, I write, I'm a writer too, so I didn't really have to study for reading. Reading was like this to me. I didn't even have to know what certain word means, like what's the inference or whatever, because I just knew, because that is something I genuinely enjoy doing. So the reading I didn't have to do. About math, I'm gonna tell y'all, the math section, it's like, you can basically like go over it and stuff right here. They basically give like explanations, like word, like right for like, and they give like little videos. So basically with the math section, for example, like they have, for example, they would give an example here, and then they would be like converting fractions to percentages, and you would have to go on mometrics.com, put in the code, and watch them. But for me, like, I felt like, you know what, with math, I know that that's a subject I have struggled with in the past. We're not claiming it this year, okay? Math is my best subject, okay? We're not claiming being bad at math, but I knew math was a subject I struggled with in the past, so I know I needed something. And I researched online, I researched through other people talking, and I found this guy called Brandon Kraft, and I'm gonna leave his YouTube channel down below. This guy, I truly believe if I had this guy as my teacher growing up when I was like 6, 7, 8, when my math, when it was starting to be noticeable to my teachers and my parents that I was bad at math, I truly believe if I had Brandon Kraft as a teacher, that I would be so much better at math. So God bless his soul. he makes basically an ATI TEAS math series. You know, it's not that long, and he explained things for, I don't even want to say it, but like for people who are really, it's really tough for them to understand. Like, you know how some math teachers explain to you certain stuff with thinking that you understand something, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could be good at math and not be good at teaching. He really breaks it down. He breaks it down to a science, okay? He breaks the math down, okay? So I really like Brandon Kraft, and I don't know, Brandon Kraft really helped me pass. So what I would suggest is that he has like 2 ATI TEAS playlists. He has the one with the mixed review and one with where he breaks it down section by section. So like if you go on his website, there's like a whole section for ATI TEAS, and he goes by sections by section. So like, for example, he goes by the ATI TEAS review book. From the math outline, he goes through section by section. I would go through all of his videos for ATI TEAS, meaning the ATI sections by section, and then do the mixed review all together. Okay, so while I was reviewing with him section by section, I had a little notebook, and while he was writing the problems, I wrote down the problems and I did exactly what he did. And then with the mixed review, I didn't really so much do that. I was just like sitting back and watching. So that's what I did when I watched. And then after I did all of that, I just started doing practice math questions in the back of his book. So this book has, I believe, how many questions? It has, I believe, 3 practice tests. Let me see. Yeah, it has 3 practice tests, and I didn't even finish test number 3, honestly. I just did test number 1 and 2. So I did number 1 and 2, and I just went through the math questions, and I did all of the math questions in test 1 and 2. No, actually, mostly in test 1. And test 2, I didn't even really finish it. Like, I didn't even go back to see. But anyways, with test 1, I went through the math questions, and I went in the back end, and I saw what I got wrong, and I read some of the explanations in this book. But to be quite honest with you, if I was to say, Brandon Kraft is number 1. That's how I passed it, and I just like reviewed some of the math questions there. So that's what I basically did for the math questions. Like, for the math questions, I would say the number 1 thing is, you know, you need to practice, you know, make it like familiar to you, very familiar to you. I would say, like, make sure you know certain formulas. I mean, I didn't really memorize all the formulas, but make sure you know, like, for example, how to find volume, you know, how to find volume of a triangle, how to find volume of a rectangle, you know, different little formulas like that. But like, you know, to be honest with you, it's very simple math, but at the same time, it's probably something that you take back in junior high or high school. But Brandon Kraft is really good. I mean, I remember reading one of his comments, and they said they're from Brazil. Can you please put translation? Like, you know what I mean? Somebody who doesn't even speak English, learn from him. That shows you something. People said he's better than Khan Academy, which is a very prestigious company for learning. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. So I would say number 1 tip for math, Brandon Kraft. Number 2, practice some of the tests. I think some of the math questions in this book actually was a lot more challenging than the ones that were actually on the test. So I would say basically practice your butt off, and then learn from Brandon Kraft. Because me, for example, like, I cannot learn math like just by reading, like, you know, I can try, you know, but sometimes when you're reading a math explanation, it requires you to go back and like kind of understand what they're trying to explain. But if you have a video of somebody teaching you step by step how to do something, that's the best way to learn math, in my opinion, for people who like where it's really hard with math. Or if a live person or a tutor comes to you and teaches you, that helps too. And that's just how I learn math, guys, because like I said, math has not been a really good subject for me in the past, because we're not claiming it. So I really had to like make sure I learn from somebody who really breaks it down and doesn't expect you to know something. So the next subject I'm going to be going over is science. So with the science portion, like, throw away the ATI TEAS math book ATI TEAS review book for the science. Okay, I'm not saying throw it away, but to be quite honest with you, like, I don't even know why they had that section in there, because it's just a basic outline. They don't really go in deep. So my number 1 tip is I'm gonna give you this tip. So when I was researching the ATI TEAS, like what they use, there's this one girl in her video, I don't remember her name, please don't ask me, because I watched like maybe 50 videos on ATI TEAS, but she was talking about this teacher named Dr. Parker. So Dr. Parker she's basically I guess she teaches AMP sometimes. I think she's like she's a microbiologist or something. Like she's just really good with science. And not only that, she's good at science, but she's good at teaching science. So they basically, I remember I watched a lot of people and they said, make sure you know the endocrine system. So for the science section, there's some questions on like physical science, life science. I'm sorry guys if I'm getting this wrong, but basically question on like life sciences. There's a little bit of chemistry, but it's not like a heavy chemistry, just basically like what are protons, what are electrons, you know, how does it orbit around the thing, orbit around the atom. And there's also like scientific reasoning, like what is an independent versus a dependent variable. They love that stupid question, I don't know why. And it took me a while to understand that. So basically a dependent variable is dependent on whatever factor, you know. I'm not going too deep into it, but it's just an example. I think Brandon Kraft, the math video, he actually explained that, because there was like one question based off of that in the math section, and it kind of helped me with science. He explained it best. That's why I said go through his videos. So basically there's also a scientific reasoning section, talking about what's a control group, you know, in the like all those kind of things. And then also there's anatomy and physiology. So basically guys, you have to know you know, if you know, you got to know all the body systems. If you want to get a high score in science, which I didn't really get a high score in science, you're gonna have to really know it, you know what I mean? And I took AMP 1 in college, but I didn't finish it, and that was last year. I didn't finish it, but I took AMP 1, and that kind of helped me a lot actually. So if you took AMP 1 and 2 in college, that will help you a lot. Just go over those notes maybe. But honestly, I don't like doing stuff like that, like going back and going over the notes, because like I just feel like it's just, I don't know, that's just my brain. I just feel like it's a little bit too much. So I think this book for the science section, if you can know exactly what's in this book, I'm not gonna say memorize, but if you can know what's in it, that would be good. A lot of people said to know the endocrine system. So the endocrine system, everybody and their mama on YouTube said know an endocrine system. So somebody said Dr. Parker. So I went on Dr. Parker's YouTube channel, and she like really breaks down the endocrine system really well, and she makes it easy to understand. She also goes over cells and tissues. I listened to that lecture while I was on my way to work. That was the only 2 lectures I listened to her from. But definitely before I start nursing school, I will go through her I will be going through her lectures on AMP, because she's one of those professors or that really know how to teach AMP, you know what I mean? So she really knows how to teach AMP, and she makes it fun, she makes it interesting. So I would definitely do that. Another thing I used was, I believe, Crash Course on YouTube. I will leave a link to that down below as well. Crash Course on YouTube is like this ATI thing. Is this guy, he kind of like quickly goes over the body system. So I think I went over the respiratory system with him, and the cardiac system with him, the skeletal system with him. So basically that's like a quick overview of everything, but like it still helps with the memorization process, and it still helped me understand. Make sure you know the heart, like the different ways like heart flows through the body, you know, inferior and superior vena cava, right atrium, tricuspid valve, right ventricle, you know, pulmonary, all those things. Like make sure you know the blood flow through the heart. Mometrics actually has a really good way of explaining it. If you, like I said, if you read the science section from beginning to end in this book, you will find a section where this guy, he basically explains how the blood flows through the heart. He gives a really good explanation, so I would definitely, you know, recommend that for that. So yeah, I would definitely give that recommendation from him. What else, guys? For the science section, what I did is I did question tests 1 and 2 in the science section for this Mometrics one. I also did I also bought the ATI TEAS Pocket Prep app, and I went over like 100 science questions from that app. And then I read the rationales, of course, because the rationales sometimes have answers to future questions that you are most likely going to take. And then also what I did was I bought the it's funny, I bought the, you know, the ATI TEAS online practice test A and B. I bought both and I took A, but that's funny, like I took the A practice test, but I didn't take the B practice test. The only section I took in the B practice test was the math, and I didn't have a chance to finish all of it. Like I said, I was like really rushing to study. So I took it, and then so that was a good practice in science. And I think the pocket prep honestly really helped me in the science portion, the ATI pocket prep, the app. So I think it's worth buying. I'm not sure how much I bought it for, but you guys could check on the app store. Maybe it's like $4 or $5, something like that. So that, and then like just taking ATI science questions, like just Google ATI TEAS science questions. Like sometimes I feel like, you know, especially if you have a limited time to study for this test, it's hard to like cram everything in once and study so much. So I feel like it's just to take questions. But you know, don't take my word for 100%, because I didn't do too well in the science portion as much as I wanted to do. So I would definitely say, from like, if I was to do it over again, if I had to get a higher score, I would definitely really go through the body systems, know the body systems, and know every little single thing. And I would also take my time when answering the question, because I think I was like speeding through, because I was so confident, and for some reason I did poor in science. I don't know why, but I was so confident in it. And I feel like in the test at that time I was like just so tired, because basically we took the reading section first, and then we took the math section, then we had a break, and then we took the science. And at that time I was just like, but yeah, I would say definitely number one tip is like read through it, like don't speed through it, because sometimes I had the tendency, like if I think I know something, like I would just speed through it. But don't speed through the science, and actually try to understand. So that's my advice for the science. So the last but not least, the English. My number one advice is, I don't care if you know how to speak English. It's not really about that. It's about like, do you understand English, you know? So if you're an English major, if you know somebody's an English major, definitely get their help on this. But it's basically stuff like subject verb agreement, pronouns, perfect pronouns. It's basically grammar, and honestly I really don't like grammar. But you know, in our society we're always speaking slang. You know, we have Microsoft Word documents. If you are typing up a paper in Microsoft Word document, you can actually like easily correct the grammar. So there's no point of speaking perfect English. But honestly, I think it's a really good skill to have, especially if you want to socialize in certain circles, like high-end circles. That's kind of off topic, but I wouldn't say like hate knowing English, but yeah, I would definitely say don't underestimate it. I just went over this book once, honestly. But I remember I was watching this one YouTuber. She said that every section that they had, like, so let's say subject verb agreement, she would print out worksheets. So I would say definitely print out worksheets. Also, I forgot, for the math section, make sure you know how to convert decimals to percent, percent to decimal, fraction, all stuff. Like I said, Brendan Craft really breaks it down. So yeah, guys, that's basically my video on the ATI TEAS. My number one tip is, remember, the night before the test, make sure you get some sleep. I was kind of tired that day because I was kind of like a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But like, make sure you get some sleep. Make sure you take the test seriously. Get some sleep, and also believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself, and know that, like, just try to prepare as much as possible. Definitely block out time to study, block out a space to study. Like, for example, I can't really study at home because I just get so distracted. So I would go to, like, for example, Barnes & Noble or the library, or I don't know, Starbucks, to like sit down and study, because I need an environment. Even though Starbucks has music sometimes, I just need an environment where I will be able to study and focus. But yeah, guys, so that's my tips on the ATI TEAS exam. And also my other tip is to YouTube other YouTubers. Maybe my method doesn't work, maybe somebody else's method may work for you. And I wish you guys the best of luck on the ATI TEAS. You guys can do it. Just know that if thousands of nurses went before you, like, why can't you do it? You know what I mean? Don't ever give up. If this is your second, third, fourth, fifth time trying to get the ATI TEAS, if this is something you really want, you will know how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, try everything, exhaust everything, get tutors, study, you know, do what you have to do to get to where you want to go. And that's my advice. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to leave it down in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.